you are not doing fine. That sentence just landed differently for some of you. And the fact that you felt it rather than dismissed it is the reason you are still watching right now. Here is what this performance looks like in real life. Her name is not important. What is important is that you probably know her or you are her. She is 34 years old, works in marketing at a mid-sized firm, and earns $68,000 a year. Her Instagram shows a brunch she attended last Saturday, a hotel lobby from a work trip that she extended into a weekend, and a caption about being grateful for where she is. What her Instagram does not show is the savings account sitting at $43. It does not show the credit card she opened to pay the minimum on a previous credit card. It does not show the way she rehearses her answer every time someone at work asks about vacation plans, because the answer has to sound casual and relaxed, like someone who has options and takes them completely for granted. She has become a professional at performing financial wellness. And here is what makes this story darker than simple debt. The performance itself is now costing her more than the debt ever has. Every week, she spends mental energy that most people reserve for problem solving, and she spends it instead on maintenance. Maintenance of the version of herself that she has shown to the world. Maintenance of the story that says she is doing fine, that she has it together, that the choices she makes are choices and not survival. There are 5 specific patterns that describe exactly what is happening to people like her, and to people who look nothing like her on the outside, but are running the same internal program. These patterns have names, they have mechanisms, and by the time you reach the last one, you will understand something that most financial content never touches. Why fixing the money is almost never the first step, and why people who are pretending to be fine tend to fall further behind than people who openly admit they are struggling. The 5th pattern is the one that explains all the others. It is also the most uncomfortable thing this channel has ever said out loud. That is where this ends. But first, the mask has to go on before it can come off. Pattern 1 is called the Solvency Mask. The Solvency Mask is the financial version of a clinical phenomenon called impression management, a concept studied extensively by sociologist Irving Goffman. In everyday terms, people curate the version of themselves that others see, and they do it unconsciously, automatically, and with remarkable consistency. The financial version is the presentation of solvency, the active, ongoing performance of being okay with money when the reality is something different. What neuroscience adds here is the concept of ego depletion. When you are maintaining a mask, your prefrontal cortex is working. It is monitoring, adjusting, filtering. And that cognitive labor burns the same mental resources you need to make good decisions. The mask makes you worse at thinking precisely when clear thinking matters most. The specific behavior this produces: people wearing the solvency mask tend to avoid the conversations and tools that would actually help them. They do not call their bank. They do not open the app. They do not accept the offer from a friend who would genuinely not mind covering them this once, because each of those actions would crack the mask, and the mask has become load-bearing. Their identity is now resting on it. Consider a 30-year-old project manager at a construction company who shows up to every team lunch and pays his share without a word. He has not looked at his checking account balance in 11 days because not knowing feels better than knowing. The Solvency Mask is fully operational, and the longer it stays on, the harder it becomes to remove it without the entire architecture collapsing. Now ask yourself honestly, when did you last avoid opening a financial statement because you already feared what it would say? Pattern 2 is called the stability tax. The stability tax describes the invisible premium you pay in every area of your life to maintain the appearance of having no financial problems. It is not the debt, it is not the overdraft. It is the cost of being the person in your social circle who never brings up money as a constraint. The person who says yes when they mean they cannot afford to say yes. The person who carries the emotional weight of everyone else's comfort without anyone ever offering to carry theirs. Research on financial concealment shows that actively hiding financial stress from people close to you significantly increases anxiety, reduces sleep quality, and impairs the long-range thinking that would allow someone to build a real plan. The hiding is the tax, and it compounds daily. Pattern 3 is called the identity hostage. Most people believe the hardest part of a financial crisis is the money. That belief is wrong. When the story you tell about yourself is built on financial stability, when being the reliable one, the capable one, the one who never needs help, is central to how you understand who you are, financial truth becomes an identity threat rather than a practical problem. And the brain responds to identity threats the same way it responds to physical danger. The amygdala activates, cortisol spikes. Your threat detection system, which evolved to protect you from predators, is now being used to protect you from a bank notification. A 41-year-old nurse who spent a decade as the financial anchor in her family is now quietly 3 months behind on her own car payment. She is the one her siblings call. She covered her mother's rent twice. She is the one everyone assumes has it handled. She tells no one because telling someone means the story changes. And the story is not just what others believe, the story is what she believes about herself. The identity hostage is not held by debt. The identity hostage is held by a self-concept that was built on a truth that quietly became a lie. This pattern operates below the level of conscious decision-making, which is precisely what makes it worth watching again. Pattern 4 is called the shame spiral compound. Here is a challenge to something most people accept without question: the idea that shame motivates change. Research in behavioral science consistently shows the opposite. Shame does not produce corrective action. Shame produces concealment. The person in a shame spiral does not fix the problem. That person hides the problem more effectively. And because the hiding delays corrective action, the problem grows. And because the problem grows, the shame deepens. And because the shame deepens, the hiding becomes more elaborate. That is the compound effect nobody discusses when they discuss compound interest. A 29-year-old freelance graphic designer misses a quarterly tax payment. The penalty accrues. She knows she should call the IRS payment plan line. She does not call, because calling means confronting the full number out loud, and the full number feels like a verdict on her character. 6 months later, the number is larger, the shame is heavier, and the call she avoided has cost her $400 additional in penalties she could not afford at the time. The fifth pattern is the one that makes every other pattern make complete sense. Pattern 5 is called the honesty debt. The honesty debt is not a financial concept. It is a psychological one, and it may be the most expensive thing that nobody is measuring. Here is the mechanism. Every day that you maintain a false version of your financial reality to your partner, your family, your colleagues, your social media followers, and most critically to yourself, you accumulate what psychologists who study self-deception call a credibility gap. A gap between the self you perform and the self that actually exists. The wider that gap becomes, the more psychic energy is required to sustain it. And the more energy you spend sustaining it, the less you have available for the work of actually changing anything. This is not a metaphor. A study at the University of Notre Dame found that people who practiced greater honesty reported fewer mental health complaints, fewer physical health complaints, and felt that their relationships had improved measurably. What the data also clearly shows is that lying to protect other people's perception of you does not protect you. It depletes you in ways that take years to fully recognize. The woman from the beginning of this video, the 34-year-old with $43 in her savings account, is not in danger because of her debt. Debt can be restructured. Debt can be addressed. She is in danger because the longer she performs financial wellness, the more the performance becomes the only version of herself she knows how to present. And when the performance is the only version available, the real version, the one who could ask for help, accept a better plan, change course, has no stage to stand on, what would it actually cost you to let one person see the real number, not the curated version, the number that is actually there? Because the evidence suggests the answer is almost always far less than the cost of continuing to hide it. Here is the debate this channel will leave open. Is financial pretense a rational survival strategy that protects people while they build towards stability? Or is it the single most reliable mechanism for ensuring that stability never arrives? There is a defensible answer on both sides. Most people will finish this video, feel it land, and be in the exact same position a year from now. If you are done being most people, subscribe. New videos every week. I will see you in the next one.